Greetings and various assorted salutations. Welcome to one of my ancient civilizations videos. This is one of those 4 fun ones. Currently we're in Minecraft, and we are going to go look at a ziggurat that I built in this game, in this world. So, welcome to the Mesopotamia Research Station, or sometimes I call it base. And ahead of us is one ziggurat. Now, it's not a perfect representation of a ziggurat, but it's a pretty good one nonetheless. There are some limitations. For one thing, the ziggurat would slope downwards a bit more. They were kind of like a raised mound. Anyways, I need to turn on my inventory for a second. You can see it here further from the research post. And that cart's gone. Looks like we still got some daylight. Sorry. Anyways, so ziggurats were built by the Mesopotamians, so the city-states found nowadays in modern-day Iraq mostly. These ziggurats served a religious function. They were temples. The idea behind it was to create a raised platform so that one could be closer to the gods. In Mesopotamia, each city-state had its own god or goddess that they preferred to worship, mostly gods, if I recall correctly. And the idea behind the ziggurat is to get closer up to where the gods are. So you can kind of see from up here, this is where one of the early tiers are. Over there is the research station. But you can see that there's multiple staircases up here. I'll show a visual representation on the screen, probably in editing. I'll put that in. But what ziggurats are supposed to look like. Unfortunately, there's no perfectly preserved ziggurat. It's been several thousand years, and while the desert preserved most of the mounds, these upper portions we kind of have to speculate based on artistic depictions and accounts. Up here is where the main space of worship theoretically would have been. I haven't put anything in here, partially because I haven't had the chance to research it. There's a bit of a tight turnaround for putting together these videos. Also, we don't have any physical remains of the uppermost chamber. However, we do know that from Mesopotamian religious practices that sacrifices would be offered to the gods, often food and drink. The idea that the Mesopotamians had is that the gods were very all-powerful, all-knowing, all-seeing, and really hard for humans to comprehend. But they did eat and drink, and one of the ways that humans could appeal to them for rainwater or victory in battle was to offer food and drink. But the ziggurat is one of those hallmarks of a Mesopotamian city-state. They're made out of, which obviously is not accurately depicted in Minecraft, they're actually made out of mud brick. There's 2 different types of mud brick that were used. The sources when I was doing my research indicated that one form was sun-dried mud brick, where essentially you took mud, straw, and sand, water, and loam, which loam is soil that's a mix of sand, silt, and clay. So from the Tigris-Euphrates is where you get loam. And you mix that up into a kind of into a brick. You put it into a wooden frame, and then you dry it in the sun. Now, some of the bricks would have been also fired bricks. And essentially what a fired brick is where you threw the brick into a fire. Or an oven and baked it. These oven-baked bricks were obviously more durable than the sun-dried ones. However, one of the things that is worth noting is that there isn't a lot of trees in Mesopotamia, so putting together those bricks would have cost more resources. Now, obviously, this is Minecraft, so there's a bit of a limit. Resources are not an issue. I just wanted to get the overall shape right, at least. But anyways, now the thing that's worth noting is that This structure is a mound, so there's nothing beneath me. There's no secret hidden chambers. The eerie noise you just heard, there is a secret chamber because I did fill the whole thing in. Let's just say that it's took a long time to make this, and I'm working alone. This is not on a server somewhere, so I'm kind of stuck with working with what I've got myself and a lot of free time. Well, not a lot. Enough free time. Anyways, some other details. Maybe I'll shift over to some footage of what the place looked like while I was building it. But there's a few other finer details. So essentially you built a giant mound and then you put up on top of it these different buildings. And you put staircases and ramps leading up to it. Normally pillagers won't live in this close. Some of the details that are worth noting about about this facility is ziggurats were usually built in the center of towns or near the center, as they were the focal point, the center point of the city. We know of 25 ziggurats built in the major city-states of Sumer, Babylon, and Syria. So we're seeing most of them in modern-day Iraq and Iran. Let's see. My notes are a mess on this. Sometimes the sloping portions of the ziggurat would include hanging gardens because they would water these water plants. And actually, it's widely believed that the hanging gardens of Babylon are kind of a modified ziggurat or some sort. Speaking of ziggurat, the word itself comes from Akkadian, which means rising building. A bit simplistic, but hey, that's how it works. Ziggurats were commissioned by kings, so I guess that makes me a king. No, I don't think that's how it works. But ziggurats were commissioned by kings, and the reason why this was done is kings were not just the political leaders in a city-state or a small empire, if you're talking about like Hammurabi. They were also the head priest, and so one of their big responsibilities was overseeing the city-state's relationship with the gods. That's a long way down. The sun's setting, so let's go look at this from the distance. As high priests, the questioning the king of a Mesopotamian city-state was also meant you were kind of questioning their representative to the gods. As one of the students once asked me, is that kind of like the divine right of kings that you found in medieval Europe? Kind of different, but for high schooler purposes, it feels very similar. The kings answer to the gods and are the people's representative. Just some details about building this one. This ziggurat built in Minecraft was built using the scale of... Well, the nice thing about Minecraft, let's put it this way, is the scale is metric. So 1 block equals 1 meter, 1 meter cubed. And so it's very easy to kind of build I guess, almost to scale model of what it would look like. But no. Now, one of the reasons these ziggurats were able to be built is because Mesopotamian society was very organized. As time went on, as farming operations succeeded more, to farm in the Tigris and Euphrates required a great deal of organization. It's explained in my intro lecture, but this is widely believed why the Mesopotamians developed religion, they developed record keeping, they developed bureaucracy. They developed all these things for organization of farming. And the more people you get working together, the more coordination it takes. And so being able to write things down and pass them to someone else or hang on to these records for posterity became important and useful. but no. The other thing that's kind of neat to mention about brick making with the Mesopotamians is that the process of making these bricks you can actually replicate at home. Actually, for when I was in, what was I in? When I was going to university down south, I was part of Gamma Beta Phi, and one of the big things that society wanted people to do was go out and do community work. And so one of the community projects I managed to land myself in was in helping a horse rescue facility do beautification work. And so me and a few other people actually made clay bricks. And we didn't make it, we didn't have loam, we used a shortcut. We used clay that was available on the land, water, and what was the other thing? Quickcrete. And we used shoe boxes instead of wooden frames. And I learned how to make bricks doing that. I don't remember the exact equation for how you mix it up, but that was one of the things. But no, so this may not be the most organized video, I'll admit that. But the intent of this video is to just kind of give you an idea of what do these look like. I'm thinking that when all of the videos for this Ancient Civ class are made, I will make the worlds that I built around it, because obviously I built research stations, I got a Ziggurat so far. Hopefully we'll add to it. Railroads. I've built kind of a world to kind of dump ancient Civ stuff into. So I'm hoping that maybe I can make that available and somebody might find it amusing. I'll dump it on my classroom website or something. I don't know what people do with it, if anyone does anything with it. Personally, once I back up the world, I might, TNT a few things. But anyways, hopefully this build video was something different or interesting. If you want, you could try building your own ziggurats. You might do a better job than me. I really kind of winged it when I built this thing. But anyways, next time, the next lecture I'm going to give is an introduction to the Indus River Valley. And I don't really have a plan for that one, but I'll probably release something that builds on this Mesopotamia project. Because I've got this big honking ziggurat, and it'd be really a shame to only have 15 minutes of video for how much time I put building this thing. Anyways, c'est la vie, and until later.